In December 1941, Berlin, Germany declared war on the United States, confident in rapid victories. German High Command, led by Adolf Hitler, believed their blitzkrieg tactics tested in Poland and France could outpace any coalition response. The United States, under President Franklin D. Roosevelt, General George C. Marshall, and Admiral Ernest J. King, faced a vast challenge to defeat Germany across the Atlantic while containing Japan in the Pacific. The core metric was shipbuilding capacity U.S. Yards produced 2 million tons of merchant shipping annually by 1942, enabling global force projection. Germany's strategy hinged on speed, aiming to conquer the Soviet Union before American industry fully mobilized. Their panzer divisions, slicing through Europe, covered 600 miles in 3 weeks during 1941. Yet the United States saw war differently, not as a series of quick strikes, but as a test of endurance, logistics, and coalition unity. The Anglo-American agreement, formalized through the combined chiefs of staff, prioritized Europe, directing American resources to counter Germany first. This decision shaped every subsequent move, ensuring Germany faced a growing industrial titan. American factories churned out aircraft trucks and landing craft, not just for U.S. forces, but for Britain and the Soviet Union via Lend-Lease. By 1942, the United States supplied 10,000 vehicles monthly to Allies, straining German logistics already stretched by the Eastern Front. The German view from Berlin's war rooms was grim. American convoys protected by destroyers and air cover crossed the Atlantic unhindered. German U-boat commanders reported sinking only 1 ship for every 3 that reached Britain by mid-1942. The U.S. approach was methodical, building overseas bases in Iceland, Greenland, and the Caribbean to secure sea lanes. Engine overhaul after 50 hours at full throttle kept American aircraft carriers operational. This logistical foundation allowed the Allies to choose their first strike North Africa, November 1942. Operation Torch landed 100,000 troops, supported by 600 aircraft, overwhelming German and Vichy French defenses. German commanders reacting from Tunisia cursed the Allied ability to land and build airfields faster than they could reinforce. This opening phase revealed Germany's fatal miscalculation. They underestimated the time it would take for American power to arrive. The United States, by contrast, planned for a long war, prioritizing secure supply lines and coalition coordination over immediate battlefield wins. Every ship built, every base established, tightened the noose around Germany's overstretched forces. Previous section text. This opening phase revealed Germany's fatal miscalculation. They underestimated the time it would take for American power to arrive. The United States, by contrast, planned for a long war, prioritizing secure supply lines and coalition coordination over immediate battlefield wins. Every ship built, every base established, tightened the noose around Germany's overstretched forces. Section 2. The Allied Method. Logistics and coalition power in action. By 1943, the Mediterranean became the proving ground for American strategic discipline. The United States, under General Dwight D. Eisenhower's command, executed landings in Sicily and Italy, showcasing a repeatable method: secure air and sea control land at a chosen point, and build logistics faster than the enemy could respond. The core metric remained shipbuilding, with U.S. yards delivering 3 million tons of merchant and naval vessels annually by 1943, sustaining operations across 2 oceans. In Sicily, July 1943, Allied forces landed 200,000 troops, supported by 1,000 aircraft in under 2 weeks. German divisions already committed in the Soviet Union struggled to reinforce the island. The constraint was transport. Germany's rail and shipping networks, battered by Allied bombing and Soviet offensives, moved only 1 division per month to southern fronts. American engineers, by contrast, repaired ports and airfields within days, enabling rapid buildup. German field reports noted Allied convoys unloading trucks and fuel under constant air cover, impossible to disrupt. Eisenhower's insistence on coalition unity shaped these campaigns. He coordinated British, Canadian, and U.S. forces under a single command, avoiding the fragmented efforts that had plagued earlier Allied operations. This unity extended to logistics. American factories supplied 30,000 vehicles to the Soviet Union in 1943, fueling Red Army advances that pinned German divisions east. The number that matters is sortie rate U.S. Fighters flew 3 sorties daily at 10,000 feet, grinding down German air defenses. From the German perspective, the Allied method was relentless. In Italy, September 1943, Field Marshal Albert Kesselring reported to Berlin, "Allied landings outpace our countermeasures. Their airfields multiply overnight." His forces, limited to 200 operational tanks, faced Allied armies with 1,500, supported by rolling supply lines. German improvisation, once their strength faltered against American preponderance, every landing brought more materiel than the last. The U.S. strategic bombing campaign intensified, with Britain added pressure. By late 1943, American B-17 bombers, escorted by P-51 fighters, struck German factories and rail hubs. Engine production dropped by 30% under sustained raids. This forced Germany to divert 5,000 aircraft to homeland defense, weakening fronts from Normandy to Stalingrad. The United States, fighting a war of systems, turned Germany's multi-front commitments into a death trap. By June 1944, the English Channel became the stage for America's strategic culmination. The Normandy landings under General Dwight D. Eisenhower's command involved 2 million Allied troops, supported by 12,000 aircraft and 5,000 ships. The core metric was logistical throughput, U.S. Built ports and artificial harbours handled 1 million tons of supplies monthly by August 1944, sustaining an unstoppable advance. The United States had waited for this moment, delaying the cross-channel invasion until air supremacy, landing, craft, and specialized equipment were ready. On June 6, 1944, Allied forces landed on 5 Normandy beaches, facing German defenses stretched thin by the Eastern Front and bombing campaigns. American engineers deployed Mulberry harbors, assembling them in 10 days, while the Red Ball Express truck routes delivered 20,000 tons of fuel and ammunition weekly. Fuel trucks ran 600 miles round-trip daily. From the German side, Field Marshal Erwin Rommel's reports were desperate. Allied air power paralyzes our armor. Their ports rise from the sea. His panzer divisions, limited to 100 operational tanks per corps, faced Allied forces with 2,000 backed by relentless airstrikes. German reinforcements, delayed by bombed rail lines, arrived piecemeal, unable to counter the Allied build-up. The U.S. insistence on overwhelming preparation had flipped the script. Germany could no longer dictate the tempo. American logistics shone in the breakout from Normandy. By September 1944, Allied armies advanced 500 miles in 3 months, liberating Paris and reaching the German border. Port repairs took 7 days after capture. The simultaneous Soviet offensives, fueled by 30,000 American-supplied trucks, crushed German armies in the east, denying Berlin the chance to shift forces west. Germany's pre-war assumption that rapid campaigns could secure victory before coalitions mobilized lay in ruins. The bombing campaign's impact deepened. American P-51 escorts, with a range of 1,800 miles at 25,000 feet, protected bombers, striking German oil and synthetic fuel plants. By late 1944, Germany's fuel output fell by 60%, grounding aircraft and stalling tanks. The United States, with secure sea lanes and industrial depth, had forced Germany into a reactive multi-front war it could not sustain. Previous section. Text. The bombing campaign's impact deepened. American P-51 escorts, with a range of 1,800 miles at 25,000 feet, protected bombers, striking German oil and synthetic fuel plants. By late 1944, Germany's fuel output fell by 60%, grounding aircraft and stalling tanks. The United States, with secure sea lanes and industrial depth, had forced Germany into a reactive multi-front war it could not sustain. Section 4. The final blow, Germany's collapse under American strategic weight. By early 1945, Germany's war machine buckled under the weight of Allied convergence. The Western Allies, under General Dwight D. Eisenhower's steady command, crossed the Rhine in March, while the Red Army equipped with American trucks advanced toward Berlin. The core metric logistical throughput defined the campaign U.S. Supply lines delivered 2 million tons of materiel monthly across northwest Europe, sustaining 5 million Allied troops across a 500-mile front. Germany, its rail network shattered by precision bombing, struggled to move one division per week each, with fewer than 50 operational tanks. The American strategic framework prioritizing Europe, unifying coalitions and anchoring assaults on logistics, reached its decisive phase. The German Ardennes offensive, launched in December 1944 as a desperate bid to split Allied lines, exposed their dwindling capacity. German panzer divisions, initially fielding 500 tanks, consumed 10,000 tons of fuel in 2 weeks. Fuel Germany could not replenish. American forces, resupplied by airdrops and truck convoys, counterattacked with 1,000 tanks and 1,500 aircraft. The constraint was stark. German factories, battered by raids, produced only 200 aircraft monthly by 1945, compared to America's 3,000. German commanders, now cornered in a defensive nightmare, faced an unrelenting Allied machine. General Heinz Guderian, scrambling to stabilize the Eastern Front, wired Berlin. Allied logistics overwhelm us. Their supply trucks roll without pause. His divisions, reduced to skeleton formations with 50 tanks apiece, could not counter Allied corps advancing with 2,000 vehicles, supported by airfields constructed in 10 days. The U.S. The system of rapid port repair, perfected in Normandy, ensured supplies flowed seamlessly. Artificial Mulberry harbors, still operational, handled 1 million tons of cargo monthly, while the Red Ball Express truck routes maintained a sortie rate of 5 runs daily per route, covering 600 miles round trip. The strategic bombing campaign, now a relentless hammer, crippled Germany's industrial core. American B-24 bombers, flying 2 sorties daily at 20,000 feet, targeted synthetic oil plants and rail junctions with devastating accuracy. By March 1945, Germany's fuel production plummeted to 10% of 1943 levels, grounding 90% of Luftwaffe squadrons. Anti-aircraft guns diverted to protect refineries weakened frontline defenses, leaving German infantry exposed to Allied airstrikes. The United States, by contrast, fielded 12,000 aircraft in Europe, each capable of 3 sorties daily at 10,000 feet, ensuring air supremacy. Lend-Lease amplified the pressure. The Soviet Union, receiving 15,000 American aircraft and 30,000 trucks by 1945, launched offensives that shattered German armies in Poland and Hungary. These simultaneous blows, American-led advances in the West, Soviet surges in the East, stretched Germany's dwindling resources beyond breaking. The German rail system, moving only 10% of its 1941 capacity, could not shift troops or supplies fast enough. American logistics, by contrast, operated like clockwork. Captured ports were repaired in 7 days, enabling continuous resupply across the Rhine. The German High Command's early war confidence, rooted in Blitzkrieg's rapid triumphs, had unraveled. Their strategy assumed a continental power could defeat enemies sequentially, securing resources before coalitions mobilized. The United States, however, fought a different war, one of systems and scale. Secure sea lanes protected by destroyers and air cover delivered 3 million tons of shipping annually. American factories, untouched by war, supplied not only U.S. forces, but also Britain and the Soviet Union, creating a multiplier effect Germany could not match. The U.S. approach turned Germany's multi-front commitments into a fatal liability. Eisenhower's coalition-first philosophy ensured no effort was wasted. His insistence on unified command, honed in North Africa and Italy, prevented the dispersion that had doomed earlier Allied campaigns. Every operation, from Normandy to the Rhine, followed a deliberate rhythm: establish air and sea control, land with overwhelming force, and build logistics faster than the enemy could react. German field reports, increasingly frantic, noted the futility of resistance. In March 1945, General Alfred Jodl admitted, "Allied material floods the front. Our divisions dissolve under their weight." His forces, limited to 100 operational tanks per army, faced Allied armies with 10,000 backed by rolling supply lines. The myth of German invincibility, forged in 1939 and 1941, collapsed utterly. The United States refused to engage on Germany's terms, avoiding the quick, decisive battles Berlin sought. Instead, America forced a prolonged, resource-draining contest, leveraging industrial depth and coalition unity. By April 1945, with Berlin encircled and the Rhine breached, Germany's surrender was a formality. The U.S. strategic approach, methodical, integrated, and relentless, proved that modern total war rewards those who master logistics and alliances over those who rely on tactical flair. This outcome was not the result of a single battle, but the cumulative impact of years of American choices. The Europe First strategy, formalized in 1941, ensured resources flowed to the decisive theater. Coalition command enforced by Eisenhower aligned British, Canadian, and US efforts. Logistics from shipbuilding to port repair sustained advances that Germany could not halt. Industrial supply via Lend-Lease and domestic production multiplied pressure across every front. The United States, projecting power across oceans, demonstrated that a skilled continental military, once drawn into a multi-theater struggle, could not withstand a fully mobilized industrial titan. In April 1945, Germany's collapse was imminent. Its cities ruined, its armies scattered. The Western Allies under General Dwight D. Eisenhower occupied Western Germany while the Red Army entered Berlin's outskirts. The core metric logistical throughput remained the backbone. U.S. supply lines delivered 2 million tons of material monthly, supporting 5 million troops across a 600-mile front. Germany, its factories producing only 100 tanks monthly, could not field a coherent defense. The American strategic approach, Europe First, coalition-driven, logistics-led, had dismantled Germany's war machine through relentless execution. The final months saw no major German counteroffensives. Their last reserves, depleted in the Ardennes, left divisions with 20 operational vehicles each. American forces, by contrast, advanced with 2,000 tanks per army, supported by airfields repaired in 7 days. The U.S. logistical system, perfected over years, ensured no pause. The Red Ball Express trucks maintained 5 runs daily per route, covering 600 miles round trip, delivering 30,000 tons of supplies weekly. German commanders, now resigned, faced annihilation. General Alfred Jodl, in a final dispatch to Berlin, wrote, "Allied supply chains strangle us. Resistance is futile." His armies, reduced to 10% of their 1941 strength, lacked fuel to maneuver. American air superiority, with 12,000 aircraft flying 3 sorties daily at 10,000 feet, obliterated remaining German positions. The bombing campaign's final strikes, targeting rail yards and bridges, ensured Germany's transport network moved only 5% of its pre-war capacity. The Soviet advance, powered by American Lend-Lease, sealed the outcome. By 1945, 30,000 U.S. supplied trucks and 15,000 aircraft enabled Red Army offensives to overrun German defenses in Poland and Prussia. This dual-pressure American-led forces in the West, Soviet surges in the East, left Germany no room to regroup. The U.S. strategy of multiplying coalition strength through materiel support turned Germany's Eastern Front into a graveyard, with Soviet forces advancing 300 miles in 2 months. The German assumption, born in 1939, that rapid campaigns could outpace coalitions was a distant memory. The United States had waged a war of systems, secure sea lanes, delivering 3 million tons of shipping annually, factories, supplying allies with 10,000 vehicles monthly, and unified command preventing strategic missteps. This approach forced Germany into a multi-front war it was never equipped to win. The Luftwaffe, once dominant, flew fewer than 200 sorties daily by April 1945, crippled by fuel shortages, and American escorts with a range of 1,800 miles. Eisenhower's coalition command ensured every move was deliberate. His insistence on logistics-first planning, evident from North Africa to the Rhine, meant Allied forces never outran their supplies. German improvisation, once a strength, became a liability against American methodical pressure. Each Allied advance, supported by rapid port repairs and artificial harbours handling 1 million tons monthly, denied Germany time to rebuild. The U.S. The system, built on industrial depth and alliance unity, proved that modern warfare rewards endurance over fleeting brilliance. The surrender on May 8, 1945, marked the end of Germany's ambitions. The United States, through years of calculated choices, had orchestrated a victory not through a single decisive blow, but through cumulative attrition. The Europe First strategy concentrated resources where they mattered most. Coalition unity, enforced by combined planning bodies, aligned disparate armies. Logistics, from shipbuilding to truck routes, sustained relentless pressure. Industrial output, shared with allies, created a global vice that crushed Germany's war effort. This campaign's lessons endure. Total war demands integration of industry, logistics, and alliances. The United States, projecting power across oceans, showed that a continental power, no matter how skilled, cannot survive a prolonged multi-theater conflict against a unified coalition with superior resources. Germany's failure was not merely tactical but systemic, a consequence of facing an opponent that mastered the art of modern warfare through patience, scale, and coordination. By May 1945, Germany's surrender formalized the inevitable. Its war machine, once fearsome, lay broken. The United States, under General Dwight D. Eisenhower's coalition command, had orchestrated a victory across northwest Europe, while Soviet forces, bolstered by American aid, occupied Berlin. The core metric logistical throughput underpinned this triumph. U.S. supply lines sustained 2 million tons of material monthly, supporting 5 million Allied troops over a 600-mile front. Germany's factories, reduced to 100 tanks monthly, could not resist. The American strategy, Europe First coalition unified logistics driven, proved unassailable. From 1941, the United States prioritized secure sea lanes, delivering 3 million tons of shipping annually to sustain global operations. This foundation enabled landings from North Africa to Normandy, each executed with overwhelming material. In Germany's final months, American forces advanced with 2,000 tanks per army, supported by airfields built in 7 days. Germany's divisions, limited to 20 operational vehicles, crumbled under this pressure. German commanders, in their last reports, acknowledged defeat's systemic roots. General Karl Dönitz, overseeing Germany's surrender, noted, "Allied logistics choke us. Their resources are endless." His forces, with only 10% of 1941's strength, lacked fuel and ammunition. American air supremacy, with 12,000 aircraft flying 3 sorties daily at 10,000 feet, ensured no respite. Fuel production fell to 5% of pre-war levels, grounding Luftwaffe remnants and stalling panzer units. The U.S. industrial engine, untouched by war, powered this victory. Lend-Lease supplied the Soviet Union with 30,000 trucks and 15,000 aircraft, enabling Red Army advances of 300 miles in 2 months. These offensives, synchronized with Western Allied campaigns, denied Germany any strategic pause. American factories produced 10,000 vehicles monthly, not just for U.S. forces but for allies, creating a multiplier effect. Germany's rail network, moving 5% of its 1941 capacity, could not match this scale. The bombing campaign's final phase was surgical. American B-24 bombers, with a range of 1,800 miles at 20,000 feet, obliterated Germany's remaining oil refineries and bridges. By April 1945, only 200 German aircraft flew daily compared to Allied squadrons' 10,000 sorties. This air dominance, coupled with rapid port repairs handling 1 million tons monthly, sustained Allied momentum. The Red Ball Express trucks, running 5 routes daily over 600 miles, delivered 30,000 tons weekly, ensuring no supply gaps. Eisenhower's coalition command was the linchpin. His insistence on unified planning, refined from Sicily to the Rhine, aligned British, Canadian, and U.S. efforts. Unlike Germany's fragmented command, reliant on improvisation, American strategy was deliberate. No advance began without logistical certainty. This discipline turned each campaign into a hammer blow, forcing Germany to react across multiple fronts. The U.S. approach, built on industrial depth and alliance unity, exposed blitzkrieg's limits in a war of attrition. Germany's pre-war vision rapid campaigns, defeating enemies before coalitions formed, proved a fatal miscalculation. The United States waged war through systems, sea lanes, factories, and coordinated commands. This blueprint, tested in North Africa, perfected in Normandy, and decisive in Germany's heartland, showed that modern warfare rewards scale over speed. The surrender on May 8, 1945 was not a singular event, but the endpoint of years of American strategic pressure applied relentlessly until Germany's collapse. The United States' victory reshaped warfare's understanding. By integrating logistics, industry, and coalitions, America proved that a continental power, even one as skilled as Germany, cannot withstand a multi-theater war against a unified opponent with superior resources. This strategic blueprint, patient, systematic, and overwhelming, stands as a testament to the power of coordinated systems in total war. In May 1945, Germany's surrender marked the triumph of American strategy. General Dwight D. Eisenhower's coalition, backed by 2 million tons of monthly material, overwhelmed Germany's depleted forces, producing only 100 tanks monthly. The U.S. approach, logistics-first coalition unified, crushed a once formidable enemy. Secure sea lanes delivering 3 million tons annually enabled global reach. American factories supplied 30,000 trucks to allies, amplifying pressure across fronts. German hopes of rapid victory rooted in blitzkrieg dissolved against U.S. systems. General Wilhelm Keitel, signing the surrender, admitted, "Allied logistics buried us." American airfields, built in 7 days, sustained 12,000 aircraft, flying 3 sorties daily. Germany's fuel production at 5% of 1941 levels grounded its defences. The Red Ball Express, covering 600 miles daily, ensured relentless Allied advances. This victory cemented a truth: modern war favours industrial depth and alliances. The United States, projecting power across oceans, forced Germany into a multi-front struggle it could not win. Eisenhower's unified command, honed from North Africa to the Rhine, proved coordination outweighs improvisation. The legacy endures: total war demands, systems, logistics, industry coalitions, integrated with precision. America's blueprint remains a cornerstone of strategic thought.